outstanding.
From the line, good reaction time for George Russell.
There's a generation of Nigerians who probably think the only time they met Peter Rufai was when Nigeria was going to France 1998. But then there's another generation that doesn't even know him at all. But for us on Sports Hub, we're here to talk about a fantastic man, a great man who had, who shone like a million stars way back before 1998. Welcome to Sports Hub today, right here on IGZ Extreme. My name is Rotimi Akindele. Joseph Faulkner is with me. It's a somber mood for us right here in the studio because it was really tough some 48 hours ago when two major stories did hit the sporting world. And we're just here to reflect on and talk about the times of this, should I say, 2-3 great men as far as sports is concerned. I don't even know how to pick it. I don't know where to start from, but I'm sure Joseph Faulkner has more connecting stories than some of us.
Rotimi, it's not a kind of start you'll want to the show,
Definitely.
but I'm going to start with Diogo Jota because Peter Rufai was very personal. The Peter Rufai story was very personal. I'm gonna share a bit. I'm gonna share some stories about him. Diogo Jota, how do you explain a man who, in a span of a month, won the Premier League, won the European Nations League, got married, and a week after he got married, or days after he got married, he lost his life, and it wasn't just him. It wasn't just himself and his younger brother. You know, I can't even imagine what the rest of the family will be thinking right now.
Yeah.
Diogo Jota, a lot of people might not know a lot about his younger brother. You know, he's also a footballer, by the way.
25-year-old footballer.
Yeah, 25-year-old footballer. But Diogo Jota, everybody who watches the Premier League, if you've watched the Premier League in the last 2-3 seasons, you'll know who Diogo Jota is.
Especially coming from Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolves down to Liverpool. At Wolves, he was one of the brightest stars in that Wolves squad. He was always scoring important goals. He might not give you 30 goals a season, 40 goals a season, but Diogo Jota will contribute when it matters most.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things you know him for. A very intelligent player in the box. You know, when he's in and around that box, he's dangerous. You know, he's that guy that when things get very tough, get very tight, he can single-handedly, get results for his teams. He did that for Liverpool over and over and over again. I know a lot of Arsenal defenders who don't like him, you know, because no matter how much you do, no matter what you do to him, he seems to find a way to just get that goal, that odd goal. Like I said, he might not give you 30 goals a season, but you can count on him to give you the 10 goals, 12 goals in all competitions,
assists
15 goals
well.
in all. He will give you assists. He will run himself to the ground. And he's one of those players that I've searched. I've not seen any controversy about him.
There was, just to pick up from there, no controversies. Almost all of the players, Darwin Núñez, especially all those players at Liverpool, he has a particular smile he welcomes you with. So just to tell you the kind of person he was, like, no controversies on and off. Even while he had his, everybody said, oh, he had 3 children? Yeah, with the same woman.
The same woman.
And just to formalize it.
That's the woman he got married to.
Yeah, just a few days before this tragic incident.
You know, it's interesting that some of his teammates talk about his smile, because he plays with a smile on his face as well. You know, he plays, I think because he knows he's an assassin. He knows he's going to always do damage. So he's always happy to play. So he's that happy guy. You know, I've seen videos of him. So he's one of those players I follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, I follow on social media, different platforms on social media. And a lot of his videos, you will know he loves his family. You know, and then he's always playing, always smiling. He's a big loss to that Liverpool squad. And he's a big loss to the world of football. Because if you love football, and I say this because a lot of times people tell me, "Oh, you support Arsenal. Why do you sometimes talk about other teams the
players.
way you
Yeah.
talk about?" I love football generally. I love sports
Exactly.
generally.
Yeah.
I love to be entertained. I love watching great players, and that's why I don't ever get that Ronaldo Messi debate, because for me, I love watching both of them play.
True.
You know, so if you love football and you love a lot of European football, you're going to miss watching Diogo Jota. He might not be a super regular for Liverpool, you know, but when he's on the field, you know, he's one of those guys that excites you. When he's on the field for his country as well, he gives all of himself. So he's going to be a big miss. May his soul and that of his brother, you know, rest in peace, you know, and may God give his family the heart to bear this, because I've lost dear people, and you don't get over it. You don't get.
You can't.
We just find a way to live with the pain. You know, you find a way to live with the pain. A lot of people ask me why I always run away on my birthday and all of that. You were there. You were part of this story. I buried my mom 2 days before my birthday.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always a reminder. You know, it's always a reminder. I remember. I still can't get over. I still cry sometimes when I think about my mom.
Yeah.
And she's been dead 3 years now. I still cry when I think about. I still cry when I think about my father. My father has been dead since 1988. You know, I still think about him. I still cry when I remember when I graduated from university. I burst into tears. You know, because I wished he was there to see the man he raised. That you know, the man I'd become. So I don't even know what his family will be going through, Diogo Jota, but we pray God will give them the strength to bear this.
You know, I've been trying to search if the Jota family actually have more than 2 boys. On Wikipedia, it only showed that he had 1 sibling, and that was the guy.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that somewhere they have others. You know, it's pretty tough.
It is.
I mean, apart from Nigerian national teams, the only other national team I support dearly is the Portuguese national team. I've been doing that since let's say early 90s. So there was this heat when this thing happened, and then the story surrounding 10 days, 11 days after wedding, the young children. I mean, the last baby was born last year. It's really a tough one.
It was a story when he had that baby.
Yeah,
because
I think he left camp.
Yeah, because I know they gave him time to
stay with his wife and all that. And then that last message about his wife posting yes to forever, and he says we'll live together forever, not knowing that it will end in a few days. I mean, it's the world football is still mourning, from FIFA to UEFA to players to
everybody.
And somebody was asking me, "Oh, I saw club sides sending condolences," because this time around,
this is football.
It's not about competition.
No,
this is football.
This is a human being.
So there's no rivalry. This is a human being.
This is a human being who has contributed greatly to make the sport as beautiful as it is right now. So everybody, Arsenal were supposed to announce the signing of Zubimendi. Everything was set.
Exactly.
You know, and on Thursday, when the news broke, Arsenal had to postpone the announcement.
Brilliant.
You know, that's because it's not competition anymore, like you pointed out.
Definitely.
This is sport is like some sort of brotherhood, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
You know, that's why after their retirement, you can see George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, all of them were so as in they were good friends.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Messi and
Ronaldo will be good friends off the
Ronaldo
field.
will tell you that we might not be going to dinner every day. We might not spend holidays together, but I respect him, and I know he loves me and respects me as well. And when they see, you can see the friendship. At least they hug each other. They have a little bit of conversation. You know, so you see, Kepa Arrizabalaga just joined Arsenal.
Yeah. And
he was talking about how happy he is to be back with Kai Havertz. You know, so friendship build across board. You see a lot of footballers go on holiday with footballers from another team, not their team.
I mean, just because they are friends.
So it's more than
the jerseys.
It's more than
whatever.
competition. Sometimes, you know, it's about humanity. It's about life. You know, and so we're gonna miss Diogo Jota.
May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
And that of his brother. But Faulkner, I hope you can hold on to this one. This was more personal to me, but I know it's more personal to Faulkner. I call him Prince. I knew Prince Peter Rufai, some years ago, and then we got very close, you know, see often and all that. And I wouldn't say much, but I know Faulkner?
Ah,
I don't know where you want to start from. Is it from the 80s?
So my first contact with Rufai was a very young person.
Yeah.
Then I was 4 years old, 5 years old. Then he joined stationery stores. My father was a strong. So the first two football clubs I knew in my life, as in watching football, Vasco da Gama,
Yeah.
Vasco da Gama, stationery stores of Lagos.
Not the one in Brazil, by the way.
The one in Brazil.
Okay.
That's the first one I knew.
Okay.
But they used to show football in the night. Me and my father used to watch a lot of football. So Vasco da Gama in Brazil, stationery stores of Lagos, and Arsenal. Those were the first three clubs I knew in my life. And even though I had started trying to play football then and all of that, I used to follow my father used to play. I grew up on Ebukun Street in Surulere. Now, a lot of people who know me and who are watching my Surulere family, I grew up on Ebukun Street where football was a big thing for us. So that Surulere area, football was a big thing. On Ibukun Street, there was a football field then that was so popular, and not just in Surulere, in Lagos, Paddington, and Paddington, we saw a lot of national team players come and play at Paddington.
Yeah.
A lot of national team players. And Rufai was one of them. So Rufai used to come to Paddington because he was living. So we used to say when we were younger, I didn't know how to speak a lot of Yoruba then, but I knew Isoda. When they say, so Rufai was living across the road, on the other side of Ibukun Street. Yeah. You cross Western Avenue to the other side. That was where Rufai was living, around that area, Gbaja, and all of that. So a lot of them, Alaji, Jimo Balogun, and all of those. So a lot of them, and that's how I knew all these guys. And they will come to, and my father, because my father was one of those people who supported stores, was part of the stores family. They didn't call them fans back then. Family that stationery stores had a clubhouse in Akerele, in Surulere back then. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of youngins don't know that. I used to go to that clubhouse because my father used to take me there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the players used to be there and all of that. If you pass near the bridge, you see the stationery stores flag every time of the day, apart from late at night when the place is closed. So I knew Peter Rufai back then, and he got to the national team, became a superstar. My father was always waxing lyrical about Rufai before my father died. Always waxing lyrical. As far as my father was concerned, Ima Okala and the rest of them were nowhere near Peter Rufai.
I mean, they had his names.
Peter
Jaja,
all of them. Peter Rufai was as far as my father or any other stationery stores fan was concerned, Rufai was the best goalkeeper in Africa. He burst into the national team in the 80s. A lot of people don't know that.
I was shocked when I saw the record, 1981.
1981, yeah, he got into the national team. A lot of people don't know that. That was why when he went to Femo Scorpions, a lot of top people that were supporting stores, they were like, how can you, a national team player, be playing for Femo Scorpions, Kilo and Wakiri and whatever? And he went to the club in Benin Republic. That was one of the strongest clubs back then in Benin Republic. But Rufai was Rufai. Rufai was beyond the field. The Rufai I remember is the Rufai away from the field. You experienced him.
Yeah.
Rufai, gentleman to the core.
Very, very.
I call him Egbo. Every time I call him Egbo. And once he sees me, he puts his hand around my shoulders. But that was when we reconnected later. Because I remember coming to my radio show in the morning and he didn't remember me. And then I mentioned my father's name. Mentioned some other of my uncles. That I called them uncles, but they were actually my father's friends.
Yeah.
All of them supported stores. And it was like, you are that Kunkolo boy. And I'm like, what is this? And, that relationship started again.
Yeah.
Everywhere, anywhere I saw him, and I call him Egbo, he sees me. And he calls me Faulkner because he says he likes the name. So he calls me. And he will put his hand on my shoulder and we'll talk. And that's the person I remember. I remember that gentleman, the family man, the quiet man, the man who he protected his family from the public view. Because he's the one, even he himself didn't like the public view. He just loved to be quiet, do his thing,
behind the scenes and all that.
And that's the man I will miss. When I heard the news on Thursday, I said I wish my mom was alive. It will have hit her because Rufai and some other stores players back then, Babwaya, Ebitimi Collins, that's another Egbo that I knew then. They will come to our house to eat. They will come to my house. My mom used to just love cooking then. She used to run the canteen and mobile back then. So my mom used to love to cook. They will come to the house, eat, and so that's the man I remember. One of the best players who have ever played for Nigeria. One, and then a perfect gentleman. He always has good words to say to you. After he left Sports Zone, you know, he told me some good things, like that is the first time he's going on a show, and he just felt at home. He felt like he was gisting with friends and colleagues and whatever. That he enjoyed himself. And I told him, I said, that if he gets into administration, that I will fire him. And that's what I do. He said, that was the way he said. He said, you know, but Nigerian football will miss him.
Definitely.
And before he died, you know, he was working with youngsters, trying to raise goalkeepers.
He was a good ambassador, you know, working with new generation footballers,
goalkeepers,
and all that. It was strange that he never got the role of a goalkeeping coach with the national team.
Nope. And that's shocking.
Yeah, it was strange. That's why it was strange. It looks like he wasn't. But probably, maybe not interested. Maybe not. But then...
but then again, Rufai is not one of those people that will be knocking on the doors of the NFF for anything.
Exactly. He was a prince.
He was a prince, very educated guy. You know how many degrees he has? While he was playing in Belgium, he was going to school. You know, while he was playing, I think he has masters in business admin or economics or something. He's a very intelligent guy who believes that he can create his own niche, carve his own path, and he didn't need to beg anybody or, you know, pander to any authority or anything. And that's the man Peter Rufai was, and that's the man I will remember.
Definitely. Farewell, Dodo Mayana. That was one of his most popular nicknames. Some persons call him Peter Jaja.
That's actually his main nickname.
But his main nickname was
Dodo
Mayana.
Dodo Mayana.
May the lights lead you home. That's our prayer. Yeah.
I'll tell one funny story. Dodo Mayana. There was this story. Anybody who's been around for Nigerian football for a long time, you know, there was this story about him losing his passport, international passport. I know when it happened because we all knew, because everybody was looking for it. It happened at Paddington. He came to play, came into Lagos, went straight to Paddington. He heard they were playing. So we used to do this neighborhood football thing, street by street. You form your team, you know, and everybody will play. And then the older ones, they had groups, they form teams and they play against themselves. Now, there was a goalkeeper back then who everybody in my area, I grew up in Surulere, by the way, all of us thought Olowo will play for the national team of Nigeria. So it's Rufai in one goal, Olowo in another goal, you know, and it was difficult to score again. Olowo will be playing a goal and be saving everything. That was how good. So everybody thought, try out for the national team. But then, of course, Olowo got into the wrong circle. I gave you a gist about that area. And Olowo was actively involved in that life, and Olowo never made it. They found his passport. So there's an area in Surrey that anybody who is my age, you know, or around my age will remember Bodilon. They found his passport in Bodilon. And the big story around that passport, a lot of people don't know. He had to pay to collect the whatever. But they were like, now he's now in the big time. We must come and settle boys. Even though he knew the people who found it. Yeah. You know, they still collected money from him, you know, and all of that. And very cool guy. And Egbo was always smiling. Egbo will smile.
Even till now. I mean, he was always smiling. May his soul rest in peace. We've dedicated today's show to the memories of Peter Rufai and Diogo Jota and his younger brothers as well. That's it on the first segment. When we come back, Sports Hub will continue right here on 9GZ Extreme. Stick around. Alrighty, welcome back. Still Sports Hub on 9GZ Extreme. In case you're just joining us, you missed our tribute to the great Peter Rufai, some sporting legends, great Peter Rufai, and of course the Portuguese duo of Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva. We continue with the show. Quick review, of course, looking at the President Federations Cup final last weekend. It was Rivers Angels who had to come from, who forced the game to go into to penalties. There were 2 goals down at halftime and then won by penalties. And of course, in the men's final, Kwara United also won via penalties against Abakaliki FC, a new team that was formed barely 6-7 months a goal. Okay, Faulkner,
Rivers Angels.
I mean,
I was surprised that they had to come from behind. It was, for me, I feel they're the best women's team in the country. I love them.
yeah, but they didn't even win the league.
Yes, they did. But so I love them. I'm partial.
That's why you said that.
I'm partial. So because if you look at the history of Rivers Angels, they are one of the few women's team in Nigeria that they've been there.
I mean, this was their 10th FA Cup
triumph, and they've won several league titles as well, and they keep churning out national team players. One of my favorite players in the history of Rivers Angels, this beautiful lady from Calabar used to play in the 10 row, was the female coacher back then. I remember her name at some point. But Rivers Angels, I was shocked that they had to come from behind.
They're playing a strong team.
Yes, remember what we said last weekend, that's probably going to be a more interesting final than the men's drum. And that's because, and it was, I think I enjoyed a lot of, so I didn't see the entire game. I've seen highlights from the game. I saw the fireworks, and I feel like Rivers Angels at the end of the day deserve to win. Either one of them will have been deserving of the trophy.
Definitely.
Either one of them. But Nasarawa, kudos to them. Kudos to what they've been able to, achieve. Kudos to kind of game they played. And what more can I say? We're going to talk about some of the administrative aspect of the game. But for the game itself, it was good. They give us something very exciting. Rivers Angel, they were Rivers Angel. Nasarawa Amazons, they were back again. You can be sure of that. They will be back again, and that's a team that will continue to win trophies in the Nigerian football scene. Years to come. For the men's, they exceeded my expectations. I would own up to that. Remember the way I and a few people who watched the show told me that it was like I was talking down on the men's draw, and I'm like, no, I wasn't talking down on them. Regardless of how good Abakaliki is, you want some of your biggest names in the FA Cup final. Let's bring back the glamour. We keep saying that. Let's bring back the glamour, the glory days, and all of that. But we can't do that when some of the big teams, keep disrespecting, the FA Cup. I support Arsenal, and I used to hate when Arsene Wenger used to play the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup with children. But then the FA Cup turned out to be the most trophies won by Arsene Wenger, in his time at Arsenal in England. So the FA Cup in Nigeria as well is the longest competition, the oldest competition in Nigeria, and we need to make it as beautiful as possible. But then that said, Abakaliki, kudos to them. Very, very. That's a very promising team. One of the things well managed, though. If well managed, if they don't get into politicking and whatever, but that's a well coached team. You look at the way they played, the use of the ball. I expected them to play with one football, or what we call police ball, but they put the ball on the ground. They use the ball very well. I love when every time that they are not rushing to rush to the underhand. No, they use the ball very well, and they could have won. They could have won. So kudos to them, kudos to Abank. They impressed me. Even though they didn't win at the end of the day, I was very, very impressed. And for me, they are my winners. It
must be said as well that the coach of Abakaliki FC is Ifeanyi Onyedika. He was part of the 1980 AFCON squad, so I'm sure he's also grieving now with the news of Peter Rufai, because they were all together, in that league. But like Faulkner said, it was a good game in the men's final as well. Luck of the draw. Went the way of Kwara United, who won by penalties. They were handsomely rewarded by their governor. Each player, I think, got 5 million and a plot of land. And then for Abakaliki, despite the fact that they lost, the government as well, or the governor there, gave each player 1 million each, at least for the effort, knowing fully well,
which is good.
That's a new team that is just under 1 year.
And it's good for them. It's good for if the players are getting $1 million each at that level. That's good money for them.
Good money for them. But Faulkner, let's talk about So first, there was credit to the NFF for the first time in a while we had a proper medal presentation. It wasn't rowdy You could take proper pictures. You could see clearly pasted champions of this 2025, this and all that. But then there were complaints about the timing of the game. Number one, why should you play a women's final at 1 p.m.
when the sun,
and then it's not natural grass? Is it that you are disrespecting the women's game, or why can't you have the game played maybe like 4 p.m. and then play the men's final into the night? Number two, if it was a national cup final, why didn't you guys schedule it so well, which we talked about last week? And then why is the NFF taking it outside of the capital city? Is it that the stadium over there is not good? Imagine you had the president of the country.
The stadium is not good enough to host a football game.
I mean, that's a very convincing answer.
Yeah, it's the whatever. And so several reasons why it's not played in Abuja. Number one, the stadium is not ready for a game at that level to give us beautiful football. That's one. Well, that would have been the best place to play that game.
Someone said, imagine the president had wanted to attend the final in Abuja. Wouldn't that presented an opportunity to fix the stadium?
So that's another conversation.
That's another conversation.
It was given out to a private company to fix,
which they did briefly, and then we didn't know what happened. All of a sudden.
So that's that. Number two, they want the crowd.
Yeah.
And if the national teams don't fill up the stadiums in Abuja,
the club sides won't. That's the truth.
Kwara United and Abakaliki won't fill that stadium, and it will be too obvious from the camera angles and whatever. And one of the things that make the FA Cup enjoyable is the fans. The crowd, the fans must come, sing, dance, celebrate, and all. And if you don't have that, you'll also, no matter the teams playing, you'll also lose, something that is supposed to glamorize the league. So that's on the one hand. I hear you when you say that the female final, why should it be played at 1 and all of that, and I'm saying the women's final, I beg your pardon, and I'll say it's the disrespect on women's football in Nigeria.
Let me help you, Faulkner. The fans that you talked about that we saw in the men's final, they didn't arrive early.
No, they won't.
Even the dignitaries,
they won't. So it's the disrespect on women's, and every time I say this, there's a section of people out there that they will just pick the part where I just criticize some of the terrible things that the government is doing, and they go back and tell their paymasters, some of these administrators, and I'm not going to stop saying it. One, you disrespect the women when you bring them to play at 1 p.m. and your preparations and whatever is not even, you're not 100% ready yet. You're not 100% ready yet. So you still see a lot of people pinning things and whatever. When the women's final is supposed to start, I told you the major sponsor of the finals, I got an invite from them to come and watch the finals. And Rotimi, I'm getting angry. I
get angry.
We disrespect these women, and it's not just in the league.
Yeah.
Even the women's national team, we disrespect them a lot. That's why you can hear stories about them washing their own jerseys. But you remember the story of them washing jerseys, and some of the foreign-based players or the Alozis and crew that grew up in a system that worked. It was like a culture shock when they came to Nigeria and they can't give out their jerseys to fans because they have to reuse them and all of those kind of stories. It's a lot of disrespect. Whereas with the Super Eagles, I know how many Super Eagles players give jerseys to their family members. I know how many. So they've changed because I've got him.
So they've changed now. The women can now give out jerseys.
Now, hopefully.
Yeah. No, they have.
But it's not because the jersey sponsors did not make enough. They give them out.
And that's why I'm saying that now you don't do that. So you can give out your jerseys.
We pray.
I'm telling you, this one I know.
Let's wait. You think I didn't know that we had more than enough jerseys before?
This one I know. We are not reusing.
Before when we were reusing, we had more than enough jerseys. It just keep disappearing.
New dispensation.
So it keeps disappearing. Hopefully it will not, because the same people are still there. The same people who through their tenure jerseys disappear, they are still there. Exactly.
There's been few changes.
We will see. But you know what? Play the women's final at 5 or 6. It ends at 8:39. You start the men's final at 9, and floodlight.
It's even too late.
No,
we
it's
can
not
play
late.
No, but we can play the women's final like.
Actually, it's not late, and I'll tell you why.
Okay,
I'll tell you why.
But you know that is also subject to the city again.
It's Lagos.
It is going to be Lagos,
Lagos
right?
is the safest city in Nigeria right now.
Okay.
When it comes to transport, TBS is just beside the BRT buses are there. All you need to do is work with the Lagos state government.
Yeah.
Instead of BRT closing at 9 or 10 like they do, let them stay till midnight.
Same with the ferry.
Let them stay with the no. You can't go on our waterways at night. You for some reasons.
Okay.
You can't do the waterways at night. But there are buses
train,
there are buses. The train can stay till whatever.
And all that.
There are buses going to Ikorodu, buses going to Badagry, Okoko, buses going to Aja,
yeah.
buses going to Ikorodu. Let them, and the trains can also work till 1 a.m.
True.
Just to help traffic. These things are not. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. If people know that there will be good transportation and there's security, Rotimi, I go out at night in Lagos.
Yeah.
I go out. I'm somewhere. Sometimes I'm in Lagos Island. I have, my football friends.
Yeah,
Every
sure.
Friday night we play football and we play till 11:30, 12 midnight.
And that's even at
that campus. That's almost in the heart of Isaleko.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people that don't know, we think, I
don't want to go there.
Bro, when we're done playing football in Isaleko at campus, sometimes we walk into Isaleko to buy pepper soup, buy whatever, sit down and drink. We have boys who are from Isaleko, and sometimes we follow them to just sit down, have pepper soup before, just regenerate before going home. And so all this, they talk about that you don't have an excuse.
You just have to plan better. That's what we're saying.
If the football, they played under that hot sun, is as good as what we saw. Imagine if the conditions were better. Imagine if it wasn't that hot. They were starting at 5 or 6 or 6:30 or 7. They were starting at that time. Imagine. So why are the men allowed to play when the sun is not hot? Why can't the men play first and the women second? Why must the women play first? We disrespect them all the time.
Okay, so the message is very clear to the organizers, especially the NFF. You can do better with the organization and the handling of the President Federation's Cup, and hopefully we'll see loads of improvements from next season. Let's take another break. When we come back, we will be eating home stretch on the show. We'll do our WAFCON preview. Starts this weekend. Nigeria will be in action tomorrow, Sunday, because we'll talk about all of that. And then we'll do our FIFA Club World Cup. The two games we look forward to seeing today. Big matchups, including the Bellingham brothers going head to head
against each other.
And then Faulkner and I will try to make some predictions, and you might want to be a part of that as well. Stick around, we'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back. It's still Sports Hub Radio on my GZ Extreme, and we are traveling all the way down to Morocco, where the footballing world will be descending and focusing their attention on in the next couple of weeks. It's the WAFCON starting today. And of course, remember, some 2-3 years ago, it was like all eyes were on Morocco. About 60,000 fans were there to witness the final between Morocco and South Africa, which the South Africans won, by the way. And Nigeria finished fourth in that edition. This time around, we're back in Morocco for the same Women's WAFCON. Could be the best one yet, because there's been a lot of improvement with the teams that have qualified for this particular edition. We'll get into it very, very quickly. Joseph?
You know, one of the things we say about women's football is the gap has closed up so much. Before it was Nigeria all the way. Then a time came and it looked like Cameroon were going to join Nigeria.
It never happened.
And then
Ghana as well.
Ghana, then DR Congo, remember?
Then
even Equatorial Guinea. At some point.
Interestingly, this tournament this competition since that started, only 3 teams have won.
Yeah.
Nigeria has won 9 times.
9 times, yeah.
Even though some persons will argue we've won 11 times. No problem.
9
times. Official 9 times. Yeah. And then Equatorial Guinea has
2. They have 2.
And then South Africa has
1.
Equatorial Guinea won. Was it 2 or 1?
Well, but I hear you. That Equatorial Guinea team
Had a lot of Nigerians.
A lot of Nigerians won, and there were controversies as
Definitely.
well as to the.
We won't go. Whether they use some Godwin-like human being
Exactly.
or some Fred-like human being to win that particular tournament. Don't worry, they know themselves. But let's get into it,
But
Paul, man. Definitely.
And they played good football.
Definitely.
Good
July
football.
5th to 26th. Attention will be in Morocco. Like I said, this time around, you're not just there to see Nigeria run through.
No.
A
it's
lot
not
of
gonna
things
happen.
have changed with women's football.
It's not going to happen.
We're seeing the ongoing women Euros. Exciting football. We definitely are looking forward to seeing more on the African scene.
I'm super excited because I've watched a lot of friendly games. A lot of these women have played a lot of friendly games. And Rotimi, for Nigeria to win it, we must we have our work cut out.
Definitely.
So Nigeria is always clear favorites to win it
every year
of our history, the competition. And I'm particularly excited because of the route the manager is going with the team, trying to refresh the team, bring in a few youngsters and all of that. Fantastic. South Africa, defending champions. You look at what they have done to women football. The investment at home, in women football is huge for South Africa. And that's why I'm not surprised at how national team level they are growing. So they'll also be favorites.
as defending champion.
Morocco will be looking to use home advantage.
They have even invested more.
Oh, Morocco.
Yeah, they've invested more.
They've now taken it not as seriously as men's football yet, but they have shown that they are deliberate about everything they are doing with their women national team. And one of the reasons they are hosting this, is also to impact on women's football at home. They want their national team to do well, one, and then let parents, Moroccan parents, see a lot of their own girls, Moroccans, do well in the tournament so that they will be encouraged to allow their daughters get more involved in football. So they are deliberate. They are very, very deliberate about what they are doing. But then, of course, you have to look at the Malians, you look at the Ghanaians, you look at the DRC team. Yeah. Another team to look at. So like you said, Rotimi, we're in for a festival of good football.
All right, let's just run you through the competition format. Like we said, 12 teams have been split into 3 groups of A, B, and C. 4 teams each. The top 2 from each group, plus the 2 best third-place teams advance to the quarterfinals. Knockout round, single elimination format for the quarterfinals, semifinals. There'll be a third-place game and then a final matchup. Of course, that's the breakdown for you. 5 cities will be hosting: Rabat, Casablanca, there's Mohammedia, Hujah, and Bekane. Okay. Now let's go into the groupings. In Group A, we've got Morocco, we've got Zambia, we've got Senegal, and we've got DRC.
I think for me, that's the group of death.
It is the group of death.
It's the host country won. DR Congo, one of the strongest teams in women football in fact, Africa.
Their club side won
the CAF. So that tells you that already that puts a spotlight on them.
Definitely,
coming into the and I'm sure from that team, a number of their players are in the national team. And they have a few players playing abroad. Playing abroad as well. So the spotlight is on them. But that for me is the group of death. And if I'm going to look at what team, and the Senegal women, they might not be a superpower when it comes to football on the continent, like their
male
counterparts. But I saw a couple of friendly games they played, and they looked
and I'm sure they want to do better. They were quarterfinalists in 2022.
So they want to go a step better than that. And that's why it's going to be tough predicting who comes out of that group.
Morocco, Zambia.
That's what you're predicting.
That's what I'm predicting. Zambia has 2 deadly strikers, with Dananji and Babra. Apart from the Moroccans as well. Although I'm thinking DRC might want to sneak in, but if you want me to predict,
I'm thinking DRC and Morocco.
No, you can't rule out Zambia.
Let me tell you the
truth.
truth. It's because you named Zambia. That's why I don't want to leave out the
DRC guy.
But if I'm going to be truthful, very truthful, I think it's DRC and Zambia.
Okay.
I think it's okay. You know what? Let me just stick with my original whatever. Zambia and DRC to go through. And Zambia
and DRC. No Morocco.
No Morocco. I think for all the good that Morocco has done at home, I think they are not at the level of the Zambians. You
Yes.
just talked about their
I
firepower.
agree.
Beyond their firepower, they have a very interesting goalkeeper
As well.
That beautiful lady.
Yeah.
That me I love to watch. You know, very interesting. So she's there. She's one of the best goalkeepers in Africa in
I
women's
agree.
football
Yeah.
right now. So they have sprinkle of intelligent talent around the team. They are Congo. All round, they're a solid team. All round, they're very balanced
hard
team.
to beat.
Very hard to beat. One of the best defending side in African football,
I
the
agree.
DRC women. So that's why I think it's going to be tough. I think two of them.
Falklands tipping Zambia and DRC from Group A. I still tip the home team, Morocco and Zambia, to go through. Let's go over to Group B. Nigeria shouldn't worry in this
think
group.
this is a straightforward group.
Straightforward group. It's Tunisia, Algeria, and Botswana.
Anyone in Nigeria.
That's what, of course, that is it.
Nigeria will definitely, I think Nigeria is going to get 100% points in this group. I don't see Tunisia, Botswana,
Tunisia, Algeria,
Algeria, no. So I don't
We're
see.
sounding that confident. We're not.
No, and it's not, and this is not us.
It's just because of our
pedigree, one.
Pedigree, yeah.
One.
That's it.
And then the level of the Tunisian and Algerian and Botswana team, I don't think they are good enough to pose any problem for the Super Eagles. Now, to choose the second team to go to qualify from that group, you look at Algeria, you look at Tunisia, and I think Tunisia might be the one. But Nigeria to top that group, winning all 3 games. And
I won't be surprised if Botswana joins Nigeria. Botswana, in their debut in 2022, made it to the last 8.
Yeah, they made it to the last 8.
So,
because it's their first time.
Their second time now.
This is their second time.
Yeah.
But because that was their first time.
Nobody knew them.
Yeah. But now everybody will pay attention to them.
Okay. The final group, it's South Africa, the defending champions. You've got Ghana, another powerhouse who are making their return since 2018.
Yeah.
Mali as well are making their return since 2018. And then you have Tanzania. Who are making their return since 2010. So South Africa and any other one?
The returning, there's Jakwa and Jakwada. The Jakwada group.
That's what it means.
The Jakwada, the returnees. This is the group for the returnees. Ghana football have gone through a lot of problems in recent years, and it has affected both the women and the men's teams. You've seen a lot of rebuilding, rebranding in Ghana football, and it's good to have them back, Ghanaian team back at the women's AFCON. You look at the Malian side as well. The Malian side, since 2012, I think.
Yeah.
That they've been not 2012. I think was it 2012 or 2018 the last time they were here?
Since 2018 as well.
Since 2018 that they were here.
They were even semi-finalists.
They were semi-finalists, but then that team did not grow. And that was almost happening to the Super Falcons.
There was a time we were stuck.
We were stuck, and we had the same players who we knew what they were giving, and then the law of diminishing returns, entered, and then we couldn't up our game anymore because we were stuck with players who should have retired. And that was what happened to Mali. And now they are regenerated. They regenerated the team, and then there's a new generation of players coming to the fore. And I think it's the reason I think they might be the one to join South Africa. So I think South Africa will go through from this group. They are defending champions. They are doing well in their local league. I think they will go through. And I think Mali will.
Let me see if I can change your mind, Falkland. South Africa has been protesting. They've got issues off the field.
Yeah.
No monies, no bonuses paid. Players have refused to train up until a few days ago when they were cajoled and what. So there's still that balance. Even as up until yesterday, there was still that meeting between SAFA and players and all that. And then the coach is going to the tournament without a contract. Yeah. So there's a whole lot. I want to make a bold prediction.
These are the kind of stories you hear about Nigeria.
But it's not
a beautiful
thing.
It's not happening to us.
South Africa will crush out in the first round.
I think they will go through. I think they just have enough. I think they have enough to go through.
Okay.
So I think they will go through from the group.
Fingers crossed. There'll be games starting from tonight. Morocco-Zambia is a big one from tonight. Nigeria will be in action from 5 p.m.
Zambia to win that one. I'm predicting. Yeah.
Zambia to win that one.
Yeah, Zambia will win that one.
Fingers crossed. Nigeria will be in action tomorrow, 5 p.m. against Tunisia.
Nigeria to win that one too.
Definitely.
I'm very comfortable. Do you want me to tell you how many goals?
No, don't bother.
Zambia will score at least 2 goals.
against Morocco.
Yeah, Nigeria will score at least 3 goals.
Okay.
If you're a betting person,
If you're a punter, he's giving you
that's
some
where to put
clues
your money.
already.
Nigeria will score at least 2 goals. Said the second game. Zambia will score at least 3 goals.
Only punters will understand at least.
Yeah, over 2.5. Just play over 2.5.
Don't be like a princess that doesn't know anything about
what does she know?
Betting terms and all that. So, just saying. Anyway,
by the way, if you're wondering who that is, that's our floor manager.
Don't worry. She knows nothing about betting. She doesn't even plus 1.5 princess. You know what that means?
Nah.
She doesn't. Nah. Anyway, let's move away from the WAFCON. We're particularly excited about this one. I mean, more football games to watch alongside FIFA Women's Euros. For 2 key games from the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah.
So before we round up on the show today, the Bellingham brothers go head-to-head, Real Madrid, Dortmund. But before then, there's the PSG Bayern Munich.
So at the start of the competition, PSG were clear favorites to win it. They were clear favorites. I mean,
coming off winning the Champions League.
And then they lost one of the games in the group stage. Yeah. And then the
pendulum swung again.
The table of favorites swung,
to another team.
But I still think PSG are the favorites to win it. They're a very good side. Vitinha is playing, I think, the best football of his life. That guy is just on another level.
But against that Bayern side also looks pretty exciting. Bayern with the Hurricane factor, Olise and all that.
But Bayern have not really played a strong opposition in this tournament.
Yeah.
I was telling Femi here last week that they were going to win that game against what's it called,
the new team, Flamengo.
18, yeah. And I said the reason is because Hurricane was going to play. Yeah. Hurricane scored.
Yeah.
Hurricane is one of the reasons they won the title in Germany. Hurricane, we all know Hurricane. He will score goals for you every time. But the big thing is, against a side like PSG, well coached, well rounded, they don't sit back. They push you. We've seen the defensive lapses in this Bayern Munich side. Will they be able to hold PSG's attacking side? Kvaratskhelia playing, Bakola is playing so well, Doué is playing so well.
And the way they hold on to the ball as if,
and then those guys at the back to chip in, among Hakimi especially. Hakimi has become a real leader in that side, So I think it's going to be a PSG victory.
A PSG victory that starts at 5 p.m. this evening.
Tonight, yeah.
When we leave the studio now, just grab popcorn, some solid grills, and just watch football all day. Start your weekend all day. Anyway, let's talk about the other one quickly. Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. Now, that's pretty tricky. You get the way you just described PSG going past Bayern, you can't say Real Madrid will go past Dortmund. Because you don't know the PSG, the Madrid side to expect.
They've blown hot and cold. They've not been at their best. People have said
it's because of the new manager.
Xabi Alonso is still trying to understand the team.
Yeah, okay.
There are a lot of stories flying on about several players in the team. As much as the manager has said he wants Tchouaméni, Rodrigo, and Co to stay, there are rumors, there are stories around them that they might leave. Camavinga, that's another name that all of a sudden I started hearing during the week that if a good offer comes in for him, I'm like, why do you want to remove the soul of the team? Because if you lose these 3 players at once, that's going to hurt Real Madrid, no matter who they bring in. Because whoever they bring in will still need to understand the whatever. But then a new manager is there. He's trying several things with this team against Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund haven't also, they've not played the kind of football that will make you think they will come there and they will, but they've been effective. They do just enough.
Maybe that's the word, effective.
They do just enough. At least at this tournament, they've done just enough, and that's the reason they are here. They are at the quarterfinal stage. I don't know. Sticking my neck out for anything is scary. This one. I know a lot of attention will be on the brothers. What's their name now?
Jude and Job.
Job. Both of them. I know a lot of attention. I want to actually see them walk into the stadium. I want to see what happens before the game starts.
How they line together.
So the way they've been doing this NBA style. players coming.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Jude Belly. Okay, that's true.
No, but I want to see them on the field. I want to see how they will interact and all of that. And
and then they have this striking semblance as well.
Striking, so it's just that would differentiate between, that would differentiate them. But I think Real Madrid will just do enough to go through. It might not be in regular time, but I think Real Madrid will do enough to go through.
Yeah, because I mean, when you smell the money in front of you, you want to play for the money. Perez doesn't joke with money.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe the PSG owners will need such money, but at least some other teams will. So that's it. Of course, on the show today, like we said at the start, it was
some transfer stories before we run away.
Okay, just before we run away.
Yeah, Manchester United.
We're in the news.
Oh yeah. Manchester United are actually going to buy a number of players before the window closes. One of them is in Belmore. I think they are going. They want in Belmore. It's very clear that the manager said he wants in Belmore, and I think in Belmore is going to be. He's going to play for Manchester United.
Even though Brentford is saying they don't want him to go.
They don't want him to go, but the player wants to go. He wants to win things. He wants to go to a bigger club where there's an opportunity. Whether you like it or not, Manchester United is a big club.
Yeah, sure.
And they're a club that, if everything falls into place, they can win. They can win trophies.
I hear Ollie Watkins is being looked at as well.
Yes, because
Gyökeres might not become.
Gyökeres is not going to Manchester United. Rumors have it that Gyökeres has already made up his mind. If he's leaving Sporting, he's going to Arsenal. And because Arsenal have been in touch and all of that, he's already said, he's told the club he's not coming back. He's not going to play for the club again, because there was actually an agreement, because Arsenal went for him last summer, and they said no. But they had an agreement that, play one more season. If anybody brings an offer in the region of about 60 million euros, you will be allowed to go. This season, Arsenal have tested the waters with 50 million plus 10, and the club said no, that they want about 70 million plus add-ons. And that's one of the reasons we're hearing, these are rumors, by the way, that Gyökeres is saying that he's not going to play for the club again, because they went back on a gentleman's agreement that they had last season. And when players get to this point, you'll know that they are done, and that deal is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, but that deal is definitely going to happen. When a player has decided he doesn't want to play for the club again, it is going to happen.
Let him just go.
So that one. So Ollie Watkins is the option that Manchester United are looking at.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the moment Arsenal gets the top striker deal done, Arsenal are rumored to be going for another striker who will mind being a squad player, and Ollie Watkins is that player that they are looking at. But
with Ollie
now
Watkins,
all the attention is on Gyökeres. That's why Manchester United, we're hearing, they want to go for Ollie Watkins. That story gathered a lot of momentum between Wednesday and Thursday. Gathered a lot of momentum, and it might just happen, because Manchester United need someone who can score goals. Højlund and the rest of them,
they're not there,
according to the manager of the club.
Just before we leave the transfer scene, the story from Napoli is that they're eyeing Lookman.
Yeah, Napoli wants Lookman.
You think he should make that move?
I think he should. I think Lookman should go to Napoli. He will play. He will play. And since Kvaratskhelia left, they've not had a proper replacement. And Lookman is a match winner. Lookman is a guy. He knows the Italian Serie A. He plays for Atalanta. He's done the same thing Kvaratskhelia did for Napoli. He's done it for Atalanta again and again and again.
Sure.
I remember something happened in the winter to Lookman, but he kept quiet, and I love him for that. He's not saying anything, and I think it tells a lot about the way he was raised.
That manager had issues with that gone.
Yeah, had gone. But I think if Napoli comes with a proper deal, they will get him. The only problem now is that Napoli seems to like players made in Manchester, and Lookman is not made in Manchester. If you look at their midfield, they love Manchester. McTominay, De Bruyne, amongst several others that they're interested in. Eberechi wants to go to Arsenal. He's already told friends
that he really wants to go to Arsenal.
And then all of a sudden, interviews of him talking about Arsenal and how much he loves the way Arsenal plays surfaced.
Fingers crossed.
You see, the drama with players and when they are ready to move is very interesting. So, but there are rumors about Martinelli leaving, and that's why, whether he leaves or not, the Arsenal team, the Arsenal board, they want someone who can come in, play on the wing, and play centrally. And Eberechi will give you that. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, but majorly he can play in the middle. We saw how Odegaard lost form, lost whatever. He was injured and he couldn't take a break. That he had to play through the pain barrier. But then, if you have an Ibericheze inside, he can play in the middle, as well. So, good one for Eze if it happens.
If it happens.
I'll be a very happy man.
Which it was by Malcolm Brogdon. How did
From the line, good reaction time from George Russell.